Each year, 5 to 10% of our Hillsborough High School graduates select other post-high school options, ranging from trade school and apprenticeships to military to gap years or the world of work. So let's talk about those options. What about students who are more hands-on and looking for something that is more typical of a trade type field? Here are some examples of career options that might fall in that area. I often find that students don't know a whole lot of details about these fields, so where can they get that information? There's one resource on the web called the Occupational Outlook Handbook, which contains all the factual information that you could possibly need about any career out there. And that's an option for a student that's a reader, and they're likely to actually read that information. What I find, though, is that the information on sites like that is very dry. And honestly, I find the best resource for students is really YouTube. I encourage them to go on YouTube, look up something like how to get into welding, day in the life of a welder. What I wish I knew before becoming a welder. That's going to give them a ton of different information, the positives and the negatives about that different career option, and give them some ideas about the different ways that you can approach getting into the career. So how do you get it? Where can you study these careers in New Jersey? In New Jersey, many of them are offered through the community colleges, sometimes as an associate's degree program, but often as a career or other type of short-term program. In many of the counties, they're offered through the county VOTEX, but not in Somerset County. Here, we don't have that option, so it's RVCC or attending another local county's VOTEC program. There are private trade schools for some programs, university campuses for students who are looking for more of a traditional college environment, and also apprenticeships. So a good resource that I've put together for you, if you go to the College and Career Counseling website, on the left, you'll find trade school and apprenticeships. You'll find some of the information from this presentation, but also a Google Doc where you'll see that I've listed all kinds of information about what is available at different programs, and just kind of a starter list for you to go to where you can get a sampling of what is actually out there. It's not the be-all, end-all, but it's something to get you going. So it's important that you approach this just like if a student were looking at college. You need to research and you need to visit to really get an understanding of what that particular program is doing and if it's a good fit for you. Because for many careers like cosmetology, you're going to find there's a ton of different options, and fit for program and fit with the other students is really going to be important to you. So here's some of the things that you should be looking for. What are the programs that are offered? What's the structure of the program? And then the success of students in the program. Are they finishing in the right amount of time? What's their employment rate after graduation? What kind of support does that school or that program provide to help students find employment after graduation? As they're looking at career options, it's important for students to look at the starting and median salaries in the field. Where can they expect to start? What is kind of a mid-career expectation for them? Is this going to be enough to live the lifestyle that they want? For the particular program, cost of the program could be very important, especially between the private programs and the programs offered at the more public institutions. What type of aid is available? Even at the private programs, you might find that there's federal aid available, but perhaps state aid might be available for you if you stay at a public institution. Is the school accredited? Is the program accredited? Those are important things to be looking for. You want to know that this is a well-regarded program if you're spending your money to go there. Then we've got apprenticeships. For those that don't know, an apprenticeship is a combination of coursework and on-the-job training with someone who is experienced in the field. They're structured programs designed over a course of several years. While a student is working in the on-the-job learning part, that part of the position is paid. And then they're typically paying for the coursework part of the option. In our area, apprenticeships are offered for many of the typical trades, and many go through the local unions. So Google is your friend here. You want to look at Somerset County Electrician Union, Somerset County Plumbing Union, and that's going to take you where you need to be. Applications are often only offered once a year. So it might be every year in June on the second Tuesday of the month, for instance. It really does get that specific. So you need to look well in advance, or you might find you're going to miss out. And it's expensive to miss out on something that's going to take a whole other year to come around again. You can also contact our local county apprenticeship coordinators for help. Their information is listed in that document on my website. They both work at the Hunterdon County VOTAC. So let's transition to military. For military, we've got full-time enlistment options and also some other options. So full-time enlistment means that you are going to graduate from high school. You're going to typically sign before you graduate from high school. You're going to go to boot camp, you're going to go to job training, and then you're going to stay in the military and you're going to live away from home and you're going to move from station to station and perhaps into active duty, anywhere else in the world. Then we've got other options. The New Jersey Army National Guard is more of a part-time option. The full-time part happens when you go to boot camp and job training, but then you are more or less able to go back to your typical life. So you could be a regular college student and be in the National Guard. There's the New Jersey National Guard, and there are National Guards in other states as well. For instance, I have a former student who's in the West Virginia National Guard. That's an option too. Then we've got ROTC. And again, there you're a typical college student and you're in the ROTC as well. After you graduate, you'll become an officer in the military. Now, it's important to think about what your needs and goals are and which branch would allow you to best meet those needs and goals. So what benefits are offered, what's the length of service you're looking for, what kind of commitment. Very important to think about what the available job and career opportunities are in the different branches and which jobs and careers you want to hold. Looking for things that you could perhaps make a career of in the military, or if you don't think that you want to spend your entire career as a military service member and you think you'll want to be a civilian afterwards, you want to think about what kinds of jobs would transfer well to civilian life. Also, pay, available bonuses is important. When's the start date? Where are you likely to be stationed? Those things might matter to you. They don't matter to everybody. Research. We do have local recruiters for each of the military branches. Their information is on my website. You just go to College and Career Counseling and then go to military, and there's a link in here. I encourage you to talk to others who are currently serving or have previously served in a variety of branches. I think the more input you can get from folks, the better, so that you're not just getting one point of view. YouTube, again, another fantastic resource out there. What I wish I knew before joining the military will start you to get a whole lot of information. You want to be important. It's important for you to take your time and make the right decision for you. For each of the options, there is a test required for enlistment. It's called the ASVAB, the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. There are sections on there that are very similar to the typical PSAT or SAT, math and English sections. And those are important because if you don't do well enough on those, you're not even eligible to enter into the military because they come up with an AFQT score that has a certain minimum for each branch. So you need to do well there. It's important for you to prep. There are other sections on the exam, electrical, science, other sections as well, that may have line scores. Those scores tend to impact more what job options are available for you within that particular branch of military. So the AFQT, the line scores, combined with what is actually available at the time that you have walked through the door to try to enlist. All of those things combined determine which options are available to you. It's important for you to know what you want and to know what your goals are. There are prep books out there and also practice questions online. So I encourage you to take your time and give yourself the most options possible. Other students might be looking for a gap year. When we talk about a gap year, a true gap year is really an intentional experience. You're making an intentional decision about what you're going to do with that time. You might be working, you might be volunteering someplace, perhaps even in a structured program. We have a student from last year who went to AmeriCorps and she's out in Colorado working through that program. You might be traveling. You might be doing that New Jersey National Guard boot camp experience. You might be pursuing a passion. If you're looking for a more structured program, you might want to check out the Gap Year Association. There are lots of different options out there. And at the end of that, you might be looking to start at a 2-year or a 4-year school. And then we have students who are going directly to the world of work. So they want to think about their current place of employment. And there are lots of places out there that offer jobs that can lead to a career. Things like UPS and FedEx, retail, they could wind up in management. ShopRite is a great employer for long term where students can move into more advanced positions as they have experience there, especially if they've already been working there in high school. Customer service, custodial positions, they could get their Black Seal license, and that's a good long-term option as well. It's important to keep options open. I encourage students, even if they're planning, I think I'm just going to go straight to work after high school, keep those grades up, keep those options open, because they may feel differently in a few years down the road. Next up, we'll be talking about financial aid